Hello, thank you for tuning in today. I'm going to discuss you're getting ready for sentencing. And really, what opened the door is a well written personal narrative. And this has opened the door for you having your allocution or to allocute or to have your conversation with your judge. Because in the your narrative, you accept the responsibility, express remorse for the victims that you've harmed. You have a plan because your judge is going to ask you for sure during sentencing, but you're not going to you'd have no desire to return to this courtroom again. If in fact you have, if there was drugs involved in your crime, alcohol involved in your crime, possibly you started therapy, but if you were involved in any of these activities and you started, Gamblers Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, therapy sessions that were started before your charge, before your indictment, before your pre-sentence interview. You have documentation for all of that. If you have a job and that you had a job that you started or you were able to stop after you were indicted, or you continued after indictment because it had nothing to do with your charge, or you just weren't staying home and doing nothing. Whatever you've been doing that was something constructive. If you were caring for a family member, volunteering, whatever you were doing, you've been doing something that has been constructive in addition to if you were undergoing therapy, as I said, or if there was, a Gamblers Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous involved, and that you understand that you have to make amends to your victims as well as to your family, and that once you're going to be released, you're going to continue to do the same once you're released from prison. You also know that when you're in prison, you're going to be able to benefit from a lot of the programs that are there. You have a goal. Most do when they're going into the sentencing hearing, but the goal started long before as you prepare for the pre-sentence interview, is that you want to get as low of a sentence as you can, or a departure, or below the variance, below the guidelines. But how are you going to get it? You're not going to be, you don't want to ask for it. This is something that your attorney is going to do. This is all left in the hands of your counsel, of your attorneys. Judges, though, have been asked around the country, they've been interviewed, and they want to hear from you at sentencing. They don't want to hear from your attorney. They want to hear from you. Your attorney they know has been paid to say good things about you. They know that your attorney is going to submit the sentencing memorandum to the court in a timely fashion, which is usually 7 to 10 days before your sentencing hearing. But from you, they want to speak to you at sentencing if you're willing. But so far from your narrative, if you've taken the time and to work on being reflective to your past and what brought you to this point in your life, that your narrative and parts of it has been embedded into your pre-sentence report. Your probation officer, if in fact you've provided them with everything, if you provide them with a comprehensive narrative, then really everything in that document should include everything that they need for their worksheet, their pre-sentence report worksheet that turns out to be your pre-sentence report. And so they may turn out to be grateful. They may not say anything, but it all may turn out to be in your favor as they realize that you're taking this seriously. The bond that you create with with your probation officer is important because they have your judge's ear. And so if you create, I mean, you may not be able to make friends with them, but if you earn their respect, then that goes a long way. Your attorney, on the other hand, will establish their relationship with that probation officer, and hopefully, no guarantees, no promises, but they'll be able to, extend their opinion of what they hope what they hope that the probation officer will take away from the meeting. Expectations, just try not to have any. Remember, there's no guarantees. Nobody can tell you what the probation officer is going to do or not do, the judge is going to do or not do. It just doesn't happen. You'll be provided with the unofficial copy of the probation report before it actually becomes official, so that you can make correction suggestions. Public safety factors are going to be part of that report. And so what does that mean? Public safety factors are, most of this is hard coded. I don't know how to explain that other than to say your birth date is your birthday. But what you don't want to see in there is that it says you're in charge and you are the kingpin. Kingpin means that you were in charge of telling everybody else what to do. But what more can you do? Mitigating factors. What can you do to help advocate for yourself? Can you push for probation versus incarceration? You can try, and the feds, that may be pretty difficult because the uh, in the federal system, it's pretty hard coded on the federal side for you to get some prison time. I'm not saying that you can't get probation or halfway house or home confinement, but that's a heavy lift. But that I'm not an attorney. That's why legal counsel gets involved for sure. You can be the primary caregiver of a young child and older parent. Um, these are all these are all qualifiers for potentially home confinement. Overly simplified, though, the following, what I'm going to go over, is going to be, while it can happen, you want all of this to be very detailed. This includes in your narrative, it's the good, the bad, and the ugly, things that happen to us in our lives. So whatever you say has to be verified and documented. So, I mean, if your story or your history or your autobiography, your narrative takes you back to childhood, and if you're able to, life as a child, teen, adult, I mean, was there violence in your childhood? Was there drugs? Was there mental illness among a parent? Was there a history of interaction with the judicial system? Is there records? Uh, if you have children, were they in and out of the legal system? Was there human trafficking involved with you, with your, with children? I mean, there's a volley of things that I could bring up, but as you go back, and I don't want to make you relive it, but just try and think as these events through your life come up or came up, and jot them down and review them with relatives, and then begin to lay out your history. What happened? Medical and mental health care. You know, did you have physicians, psychologists involved? Do they have records? Was there alcoholism with either, if you're married, yourself, a spouse? Were there serious mental illnesses? Was there threats of one spouse hurting the other spouse? Um, did you have a son or daughter who wasn't able to take care of themselves? And maybe, you wound up taking care of your grandchild as another child for you having to raise. These are all, big, big family events that affected what you had to do with your life, in addition to the jobs that you have had, which you also need to lay out with let character reference letters from each place where you worked, as to attesting to your character. um, where did you volunteer in the community? Any sort of, did you what was the highest level of education that you achieved? These are all very important things. And do you have were you able to find diplomas to that highest level of education? And what were the um, where did you volunteer? And list these different organizations. And so as you write this out, you will be able to find more and more things to fill in here. Paraphrasing a Professor Kimberly Thomas's article, Beyond Mitigation Towards a Theory of Allocution, allocution allows defendants to share their experiences, promoting understanding and connection. It'll provide insight into their actions, representing a step toward healing, change, and rehabilitation. This tradition emphasizes the potential for redemption by reflecting on past conduct. So far, everything has been in written form. So consider that when your attorney submits their memorandum regarding this case, 7 to 10 days before sentencing, you could include also your narrative, but in video format. And it doesn't have to be expensive. You can do a video on a smartphone and then have it cut down to, it could be a 30-minute video that you cut on an MP3 that's cut down to, 7 minutes. And so remember, one picture is worth 1,000 words. And that it is, I have one on my website that you could see. But in closing, judges have found these are my closing statement is going to be that these last two types of cases, judges have found the hardest to rule on. And these are going to be cases where either con men took advantages financially of seniors, and the other where children were hurt uh, by individuals through pornography or that sort of activity. But where the trials were hurt, it's one thing where pornography involves looking at pictures, and it's another thing where kids are hurt either through trafficking or just hurt in general. I hope that you have found this helpful. And I appreciate you taking the time to listen, and I hope everyone has a good day. Stay safe.